That's good. I like that.
And so this is just an example. I just wanted to pull one up. This is another paper, 2018 paper two. This is says task 5B, fill in the form. And so, like I said, sometimes they give you the form, they actually fill it out. Sometimes they just give you the form and they ask you to do the form. When they ask you to fill out the form, they're going to give you all of the information that's needed. You read through. Sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it's just the data. And in this case, it's a paragraph. This particular form, a request and everything, it gives you all that information. It gives you all that space. And in this part, they're telling you the information to put on the form. So a big part of it is understanding how to fill out the form along with understanding how to complete the form. And so you take the information from the fill in section and you just type it onto um, the actual blank form. And so what I like to tell persons to do, I'll go back to our old paper. What I like to tell persons to do is save it and then go to file and save a copy and then call it form filled out or form completed or something like that. Because now when it comes down to printing, you have to print out both the blank form and the filled out form. And what you don't want to do is type over your blank form and then realize when it's time to print, oh my gosh, I don't have two of them. I only have one, but you're supposed to print both. And so always save your form and then save as or create a copy of the form and rename it so that you don't save over that same form again. And so you take the information from this form. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to guesstimate. We're going to guesstimate some stuff and we're going to fill in the form. Okay. And this is pretty important as well, because you have to fill out the form in a way that it looks like somebody properly filled out the form. So if they say check one, that means one of these items needs to be checked. And let's say they tell us to check bond. Well, I can't do this. That is highly not correct because somebody filling out the form would never fill out a form like that. First of all, they said check. So you have to use the actual check mark. Second of all, there's a gap there that shouldn't be there. And now you kind of pushing it as out of line. That's not how you fill it out. If it was an X, then you would simply just type the X. And then what you would do is underline. And as you can see, it looks perfect. It looks like, even if I go a little closer, sometimes it looks a little funny when you go closer. But when I look at it, it looks like that X is supposed to be there. It doesn't look like how this one looks. Like the X really shouldn't be long. And so if you had to put a letter there, you would type the letter, go back and underline the letter. And then now we see that this line is a little bit longer. You have to fix that. You have to uniform it, put it back to be uniform. Because if you notice, that threw off over here as well. And so delete the extra line so that all your lines are still the same length. That's what you do. Okay. In this case, like I said, it's a check that they want. So not an X. So I'm going to put it back exactly to the way it was. And that means you need to know where to find a check. And so if you don't know where to find a check, you can actually go to insert. That's normally a symbol because normally there's nothing on your keyboard that says check. And so you probably can insert, maybe you can insert a shape as well. Let's see. I've never tried this, but maybe there's a shape that is a check. That looks like a check that you would make if you're writing on the form. Is there one? I don't see any. And so yeah, that's a no. So if you have a good or up-to-date version, you can actually go to draw. I've done this before as well, and use a drawing tool. It's a little big. I'd make it a little thinner. And then I would do this. I could do this as well. Check. Either which way, it's still a check. So you can do that. That is an option. Or for persons who have older versions of Microsoft that don't have that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to insert and you're going to symbol. And then I kind of already have it here. But you can go to more symbols if you didn't already have it. And it's going to bring up all of the symbols that you can possibly use. Because I've used these before, they're there, but for the computer that you use, they may not be there. And so what I tell people, wing names, search for wing name, that tends to have it. And then you can scroll through, and you'll see something like an X. Sometimes maybe the form itself doesn't have lines, maybe they have boxes, and you have to put in a box. Well, here you can come to put in a blank box as well. This could be a blank box. And then when you fill it out, you fill out the form with the X in the box, you could actually go and change that form that into this, the X in the box. So this is the option with the X's, as well as if I scroll down, here I have another X if I want to use X's. Here I have the check mark. If I have a check mark in a box, I can use check mark in a box as well. In this case, it's just a regular check mark. So I want to click it. All you have to do is click it and click insert. Okay. And then close. Now you see it went wherever, but I kind of messed it up. So I just have to place it in the right position, which normally is like, I mean, somewhere on the regular line space. My line is long again. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to delete. I'm going to delete some of it. What I don't like is it's making my line short. Don't like that. Again, see, this where it looks a bit funny. This will get a little challenging because this particular symbol goes higher than the line. And so what I do here, when that does happen, I just make my whole line underlined. I make it for as long as I can. It's not perfect, which I like it to be perfect, but sometimes, like I say, that happens. Um, a way to fix that, I could just delete my line, the extra work, but that's why you type first. And then click the underline button and press space the same amount of times as I did this one. And it's still kind of off, which totally sucks, but this is as best as you can get it, then that's as best as you can get it. The check is on the line as it should be, and your line is okay in length. You can make your line shorter. Maybe that'll help. Let's see if that helps. Maybe making a line shorter helps because it's not overly noticeable. It'll be noticeable on this side. To make our lines a little shorter. Maybe it'll be less noticeable. Yeah, just deleting. So maybe that'll make it look a little bit better. So it's not too bad when I scroll back out, make it smaller. It's not like obviously noticeable that this is extremely long. You just want that uniformity. Now what's happening here is that is not enough difficulty with underline. Sometimes it doesn't do that, but you have to press stop the underline and space it. Yeah, but this is as good as it gets. In this case, sometimes this is hard, but it's just do everything else. Don't stress about this piece of it. You know, just make sure the check is there. Make sure it looks kind of undetectable. Okay. Says tell us about your nominee by filling in the following information. So let's say my name is Jane Sarah Doe. Then, of course, or the name of the nominee is Jane Sarah Doe. Last name is Doe. First name is Jane. Middle name is Sarah. As you can see, as I type, it's not, all it's doing is pushing everything over, which is not what we want. And so again, what I tend to do here is I'm going to underline and then I'm going to delete space. Oops, not there. So I'm going to go at the end of the word Sarah, delete, 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 until it goes back to that one line. And we're going to delete a little extra as well because I need to give space to line it up. Doe is perfect because Doe starts at the beginning, but Jane has to get pushed over to start where this word first is. And so I do that by pressing tab and then I space where if tab takes it over too much, I press space until it lines up. Same thing with zero. Tab, and I see it took me to another line again. So that means just I have too much space at the back still. I'm going to delete some more of that space. And tab is taking me over. So I'm just going to space over until I have middle. When I look, this line is still a little bit shorter. So I can add more line until it comes to the end again. And now you don't ignore these blue lines in this case. That's just because you press space and everywhere else you press tab. But it's perfectly fine. You have the word Doe, which is the last name above last. You have Jane, which is the first name above the word first, and then Sarah above the word middle. Perfectly fine. And that's how that works. Day of display, exhibit, entertainment. I'm just going to put the word Monday here for now. So there's nothing to line up per se. You just got to put it on line. So again, if I type Monday, I see it does that. No panic. Just delete the extra space so that, again, it goes to one line like it should. Highlight the word Monday, press underline, and now you see it's seamless. It's not a jagged line like with one on top and one to the bottom. It looks like Monday is supposed to be there. Venue, let's just say Port Lucaya. You know how to do this. You're a professional by now. We've done it a few times before. Type it in. Delete, 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 till it goes up. Perfect. It's perfectly lined up. Highlight the word Port Lucaya. Press underline. You are good to go. Tell us why this person should receive the award. They're just that good. Come on. Duh. They are just that good. That's what we're going to put. All right. Same concept. Delete, 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 delete. I did a little bit. Nope. Still delete, 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 delete. Until. Boom, boom. Come on. There we go. Delete. It lines up. And then again, I just highlight and underline. If I had to go on all of these lines, what should happen is type as much as you can on this one line, or you could just do this. If you think it's going to take two lines, oops, I'm going to underline, whatever I want to type, I want to keep typing K, whatever. I do it like that. I just keep typing or whatever and have it underlined and it fits. So yeah, that works. Nomination submitted by, let's just put Ms. Brennan. Delete, 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 delete until it goes back to the top line like it should. Perfect. It lines up. Perfect. Underline. Perfect. Telephone 242-888-888. Sometimes they say 242, sometimes they don't. In this case, they didn't say anything. So I'm going to delete, delete, delete. Underline. Sometimes you may see them having the spaces for this. If they actually do it like this, then, oh, that told me I had the same number. Then you would type it based on how they ask you. And so in this case, like I said, oopsie, I have a little something there. That's because this under another line, highlighted on the line, perfect. Sometimes they may have the space there when you type it in for the dash and the 242. Maybe they actually in the blank form, it looks like this. Then you just type it like that. You type it like that with the da-da-da, like they ask you, okay, put a 242 here and your number here. You just type it the way you see it. All right, but I'm going to put my number back. Fax number. Sometimes they don't have any. If you know that they don't have something, N-A, not applicable. That's what that means. And you can underline that as well. You're going to say they don't have fax number, so that's not applicable. Address, house or apartment number. Apartment number is 10. Street. Underline that. Delete, delete. Perfect. Street name. Street name is Bahama Street. You can type that in there. Delete, 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 delete. We are professionals at this point. Delete. It lines up perfectly. Underline, underline. It's above street name, so we know that Bahama Street means it's street name. And that's pretty much it. And that's perfect. That would be how this form is filled out. So if I zoom out, look at this form. It's gorgeous. It looks like somebody filled it out. It looks like they checked one of them as was requested. It looks like they filled out the information on the lines provided. It is perfect. And so with forms, it can get a little flustering, but you just have to take your time, type the information first, take your time in fixing everything. And it gets better over time. Let me see. Maybe I have, if I look at this one here, okay, no. If I look at this other example, what does it say? Leave a quadruple space after the heading. You should know that things like this is the heading. Key the entire document in double line spacing. So of course that means, whereas I started off at single, with that document, I would start off with 2.0 instead of 1.0 because it asks me for double line spacing. Print a blank form and a completed form based on 5B. So again, that's just a reiteration. They want you to print a blank form and the filled out form once it's done. Okay, this one is pretty straightforward as well. Um, hmm. Where you see things like this, official use only in all caps. Of course, you're typing this in all caps. Where you see things lined up, line up, line up. This doesn't particularly go to the end. So therefore, you just want to make sure it's short spaces that are even in length. These go to the end. So you want to make sure that everything that goes out to the end does go to the end. This isn't centered, so I would leave this on the side that is the left side. What else? This is an extra line here. So make sure you don't forget to add this extra line here. Um, this line here is lined up. This ferry is lined up with this. So make sure you tab, 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 tab until it lines up with this one. You type this line first and then tab until it lines up. Same thing with housing. I wouldn't say they necessarily have to be on top of each other because in this case they aren't. And the word transportation is longer, housing is shorter. It's not written like that, but if you want to line them up, you can. Um, they shouldn't take off points because that should help it look neat. Official use only is something that's centered. So when you type it in, it should be centered. And then you have your date and everything, and then they give you all of the information. The school program is the urban committee outreach. So they ask us, what's the school program? They tell you the urban committee outreach. That's what you type on the line. Destination Bomsey Andrews. Destination Bomsey Andrews. Program coordinator. They're going to give you everything that you need to know. Right now, it doesn't say anything about 242 in the telephone contact area. So that means you can type this just as it's here, 363-1467. Always make sure you include the dash. Yeah, and you pretty much fill it out. Now, I would say that I've seen instances where maybe for the date, they do something like, hmm, trying to let me put it there. Okay, maybe underneath the word date, sometimes they do something like MM slash DD slash YY. Oops, not comma, slash YY. And maybe they have that underneath the date column. And so that just means you type it like that, just how they would have had it written. But when you're filling out the form, today is the 27th of April, 2024. And so that means when I fill this out, instead of typing April, the word April 27, 2024, I have to follow this format. They're telling me how they want me to type it. And so MM, of course, means month. The month of April is 4. So 04 dash, oh my gosh, what is that called again? I don't recall. I'm so sorry. DD day 27 slash YY. Of course, I wouldn't put 2024 because they only have two Y's. So that means they only want you to put the last two numbers. So 24. That would be responding to this in like kind. And of course, you don't have to have it directly on top, but you would just want to make sure it's on the date line. And so if the date is asked for in this manner, that's what you would do. However, if they say YYY, that's when you would type in 2024. If they have DDMM, then that just means we need to switch these numbers around. The day comes first, then the month comes. So 27 slash 04 slash 2024. And so, right, in terms of forms, that's the most complicated I've seen it come. Sometimes they put things underneath here that is telling you that they kind of want you to format it in a certain way. And that would be what something like this is. All right. But that's as complicated as I've seen them come. Never fair when it comes to forms. It can get a bit intimidating. Type it out first. Make sure you save your blank form by itself before you overwrite it, because then it's a hell of a lot of work to try and fix it and get a blank form. So you want to make sure you do that. And then minimize, look at your form, make sure it looks right, make sure it looks neat, make sure, like I say, I don't see anything that looks like this. That's a dash instead of an underscore. Your line should line up. It shouldn't look like there's a broken line. And so make sure your lines look neat, look proper, and then you should be good to go. So I'm confident that if you watch this video, if you practice maybe redoing this form or redoing another form, practicing forms is highly important when it comes to trying to get it correct. And so hopefully this video helps, and it's a good example of how to complete one.